When I was a child and as I am now, I've gotten used to being constantly beat over the head with a plethora of messages that in the end all have the same meaning. There's no point to playing video games. It's not going to help you in life. It's a waste of time. It's mind-numbing. It'll make you violent. It'll deteriorate your mind. Grow up. It's just a game. But one thing I never understood: what constitutes as just a game anymore? Thing is, we live in the 21st century. The phrase just a game means so much more than it did back then. So I'm going to delve deeper into what it truly means to experience just a game.
I'll give a short timeline first. Video games have been around for a solid 50 years now. The very first one starting in 1962 called Space War. Pretty boring, I know. Then releasing the iconic tennis simulator we all know and love in 1972 called Pong. At the time, this was seen as a massive step in innovation, a complete hit. And suddenly we moved to the 21st century and video games are suddenly the target of stigma and ridicule. A recent study from 2015 showed that almost 60% of adults in the US believe that most video games are indeed a waste of time. Yet the weird thing is, 49% of them play them, but only 10% choose to identify as gamers. I guess nobody probably wants to be associated with this guy. And don't get me started on video games causing violence. By the way, it has been proven countless times that it doesn't. At this point, it's like saying vaccines cause autism. By the way, it also doesn't. But there's no doubt that the stereotypes are indeed dying out as the years progress, and video games are being more normalized in today's culture. Yet still, remnants of the previous generation still remain to this day, and this undeserved reputation of negativity still very much exists. But besides Western culture, are these stigmas still the same here? So I did want to see more local views on the subject.
What is your experience playing video games?
I play video games sometimes.
I have a lot of experience with video games.
A lot of experience, I guess.
I used to play a bit of video games when I was a kid. I don't have Pokemon. I don't play video games.
I play them almost every day.
Not very often now.
I played video games for my whole life.
I played video games for quite a while now.
It's very limited.
Even with such varying experiences with video games, they still have very similar notions of what the stigma surrounding video games are.
Yeah.
Do you believe that a stigma exists against video games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, very much. I think so.
Yes, it does exist.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely, man.
Describe some of these stigmas that you know of.
First that it's unhealthy and
Very unhealthy lifestyle.
They think that gamers can't make a living off it.
It makes you dumber.
you couldn't get into real life and whatever.
That they'll probably be a loner, a loser, a nerd.
They would actually go, oh, games are a waste of time.
It ultimately comes down to a waste of time.
Video games make a person more violent.
Cause violence.
Violent.
This causes violence.
The violent games can make you violent.
You get the point. So the question here is, why is it still taking so long to dispel these stereotypes? Today, with a billion-dollar industry and magnificent games that have the potential to rival the likes of Oscar-winning movies, what's with this invisible barrier between video games and societal acceptance? Well, maybe it's just because not many people are aware. I mean, besides people following the gaming culture in general, who really is aware of this industry, or of the games themselves? We are happy to talk about the newest episode of our favorite TV show, or tell someone, I can't believe you haven't seen that movie before. But we have to tiptoe around talking about the new game release that we just started playing. So I wanted to touch on two main points that I think what people really need to know about gaming, so that it'll be taken a little bit more seriously, and given the credit it deserves. The industry and the content of these games themselves. It's no mystery that the gaming culture and industry have indeed grown rapidly over the years, but do people know just how much it has grown and where it stands currently against the old media titans? To continue from our previous interviews,
what do you think generates more revenue annually, the video game industry or the movie industry?
I would say the film industry.
I think they're neck and neck.
The movie industry.
The movie industry.
The movie industry.
I think video games.
Probably the movie industry.
Definitely the video games industry.
Video games?
Movie industry.
What do you think generates more revenue annually, the video game industry or the music industry?
Also the music industry.
Definitely the music industry.
The music industry.
Music.
Music.
Video games.
Music?
The video games industry.
Video games? Probably the music industry.
Further surveys over 40 people show that 65% of them believe the movie and music industry are indeed larger than the video game industry in terms of revenue. For reference, the movie industry gained $40 billion in revenue, and the music industry gained $16 billion in revenue last year. But what people usually don't know is that the video game industry is bigger than both of them, combined, sitting atop a throne worth $100 billion in 2016 alone. Those numbers are not to be taken lightly. And in fact, it's still growing and growing fast. You know what else is growing fast? The culture. A whole load of annual gaming conventions have popped up all over the world over the years, with thousands of people traveling just to attend them. Conventions like E3, PAX, BlizzCon, and more all exist because the people are passionate about the games they love. The esports scene is also nothing to laugh about either. It's getting pretty big. Well, besides globally, what does Malaysia have to offer? Surprisingly enough, Malaysia has a flourishing gaming industry that unfortunately nobody knows about. Referring back to the survey, over 90% of people believe Malaysia's industry to be quite minuscule. In actuality, its industry is worth $580 million. Malaysia has contributed to many world-renowned games recently in terms of their growing creative talent. A Malaysian-based company called Passion Republic helped in the development of the latest installment in PlayStation's best-selling series Uncharted, as well as another company called Lemon Sky that helped out with art assets and animations for incredibly popular games such as Call of Duty, Dead Rising 3, and Bloodborne. But there's one guy who's said to have put Malaysia on the map, Juan Hasmer, lead game designer for one of the world's biggest video game developers, Square Enix.
The Final Fantasy 15 has sold 5 million units, shipped and downloaded on launch day, day 1. Fastest selling Final Fantasy in the franchise.
His job involves making the game fun, and part of that process is creating an immersive and lively world. He even managed to sneak a lot of local Malaysian culture into the newest game.
Weather and all that. So I love Malaysian food, so we have roti canai in the game, and we even have teh tarik, the motion and of teh tarik, and wow, the developers are scolding me for it because to create that liquid coming from one cup to another is hell on earth to design, you know, so they were like, oh man, this bloody Malaysian.
With their newest game in the decade-long running franchise, Final Fantasy 15, being a massive hit, Juan Hasmer is now considered a beacon of hope for aspiring local talents that want to join the huge global gaming industry. But of course, the industry and the culture, none of this would exist if the games themselves weren't up to par, right?
You ever stay at a place like this? Before it all went to shit, I mean.
No, a place like this is way out of my league.
Bet it was nice.
These guys here are Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, the voice actors for the game The Last of Us. Their job is to give life to these characters, to make them feel real, like actual people with emotions.
What are you so afraid of? That I'm gonna end up like Sam? I can't get infected. I can take care of myself.
How many close calls have we had?
Well, we seem to be doing all right so far.
And now you'll be doing even better with Tommy.
I'm not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
And
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
The game you see on screen is the same game, made by Naughty Dog, and considered to be one of the best games of the decade by much of the community. But why? Is it the visceral violence, the shooting, the mindless murdering? No, it's because of its story. It's the universe it's set in, and the deep and compelling characters that you get to play as. It's the notion that you are stuck in an apocalyptic world where a fungus-based infection has spread across the globe, and now plant zombies and bandits are out to kill you, and your semi-adoptive daughter. So you have to ration your bullets, scavenge for supplies, and you will go through any lengths to survive, because all you have left in this world is each other. The fact that so much effort goes into these characters, into these games, is amazing. Yet many of times they go so underappreciated because of some stupid pre-consisting notion that video games are bad for you, that they're mind-numbing, that they're unable to tell these great narratives, or have more complex gameplay than just tapping your phone screen. But still, great video games aren't exclusive to this genre or form of storytelling either. You see, this game, you play as a member of a secret society that protect the world throughout history. This game is the prehistoric age with robot animals. This game, time-traveling college student trying to save her friend. This game, World War I simulator. This game, sentient ball of yarn. This game, magical goat. And this game, some plumber on shrooms. I'm not saying that all these games are equally as good or bad, or have the most complex meanings behind them, or the best gameplay, or the best stories. But in the end, just like any other form of entertainment, digital or not, they're there to invoke some sort of emotion in you. Hopefully, you're entertained. But seriously, in what other medium can you be the foretold harbinger of dragons? Or an old magical monster hunter on a mission to save the world? Or a galaxy-hopping space captain trying to save the universe? Or a kid trying to befriend this big dog thing? These games all have their own worlds, their own merits, with fleshed out stories and characters. Best part is, you get to play as them. You actually get to experience these worlds. So when the media likes to put games like these as a representative of all video games, instead of ones like these, it really irks me. It's when you want to call this mind-numbing, or this a symbol of violence, or this a waste of time. Or is this a waste of time? Or maybe this is a waste of time. I mean, it's just a movie, right? Or maybe this is just a book, you know? This is just a painting. And this, well, this is just a game.